You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You know, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war.
To make sure the economy doesn't collapse, I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
You're listening to Common Sense Radio with A.J. Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
Greetings and welcome to the program. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network, which we are a network of grassroots activists that are trying to change minds and hearts with our arguments of pro-America. My name is AJ, and this is Susan. How are you, Susan?
I am blessed and highly favored, AJ. Good to be with you again.
Glad to be with you. If you haven't listened before or are one of our continued listeners, thank you, and please do us a favor. Due to Facebook's algorithms, can you please like and share our show, send it out so we can reach as many people as possible. Susan and I are everyday Americans who work, who are parents, and most importantly, disciples of Jesus Christ. Couple reminders. Go to patreon.com/lanterns and help support the mission here at Lanterns. Also, this week is CPAC. Woo! We are
Yay, CPAC, and Lanterns is there at CPAC. Dylan is there. It's so awesome. I was there last year, and it was the most awesome amount of fun I've ever had. I can't wait to go back.
Yes, Dylan from Defenders of American Exceptionalism Show and Watson from Battle for Freedom will be live at CPAC for the entire event. They'll be doing broadcasts live on those days, and we will be sure to share those out. Have you seen the list of speakers at CPAC, Susan? It's incredible.
No. Oh, my gosh. I don't know. Am I going to need a cigarette after this?
You are. You are.
Okay,
Check it out.
I'm ready.
Oh, man. So, did you have a good week, Susan?
Well, there was Valentine's Day, which was also Ash Wednesday, and it was also a horrific day for people in Florida, because what happened was, as we now know, there was a mass shooting, one of the deadliest school massacres in our country's history, because a very disturbed young man who decided he wanted to take out whatever his problems were, decided to come and shoot up a school. And we've got 17 dead people and 15 more were taken to the hospital. And this was an absolute tragedy. And it should never have happened, because part of the reason that it happened, not only was he, mentally kind of deranged and upset and, whacked, if you will, but the FBI knew that this young man had posted social media messages. He had stated that he wanted to become a professional school shooter. A professional school shooter. That's like a job description. That's like you getting paid to go and shoot up schools. I mean, that almost sounds like you want to be a liberal politician to me, a professional school shooter. And he decided to go take his AR-15. And now, of course, in the aftermath of this, we haven't even had a week's worth of mourning the dead and honoring those who, there were men and women who sheltered children. There was one man who died, protecting some of the kids there. And we haven't even had a chance to digest all of this, but that, the liberal media and all of their minions in Congress, everybody's demanding gun rights. We need to have gun control. And then we've got too many guns in the country, and we now need to shut down anybody's right to have a gun, because if he hadn't had a gun, this wouldn't have happened. They trot out this mantra every time, and it frustrates me to death, because this shooting could have been completely avoided by enforcing the laws we already have on the books.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, the hashtag make-believe media, the students, the lawmakers, and anyone with a social media account blamed the NRA, guns, and anyone who mentions the constitutional rights Americans are guaranteed. one person, and only one person can be blamed for this act of terror, and it's that terrorist punk kid.
Who shall not be named. We've decided we're not going to. I get, you know what? For the purposes of the show, we'll name him once, because that way you'll know who we're talking about. His name is Nicholas Cruz, and we're not going to say his name again because he doesn't deserve to be remembered. He confessed to the killing, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that he was orphaned. I'm sorry that his mom died from flu. That's really tragic.
It is.
And I mean, but that does not authorize you to go shoot other people. And it's really tragic that the FBI apparently was so, distracted while this young man was sending out signals. I guess they were so distracted trying to, track Russian collusion and trying to steal an election from. I mean, well, really, that's what the FBI's been. What? Strick, whatever his name is, Lisa Page, while they're sexting each other about how much they hate, Trump. They decided they want to throw the election. We need a little bit of insurance. I guess the FBI was just so concerned about delegitimizing Trump's election that they couldn't pick up on a few cues by this guy who decided to go shoot up a school. Maybe that's why we had a school shooting. Is anybody blaming the FBI? No, we're going to go with the NRA. 3 letters. Hey, it all means the same thing. Nobody's looking at how much money the NRA has actually contributed when compared to unions and Planned Parenthood. If you want to know who's contributing to political campaigns, go start checking out Planned Parenthood. They send many more millions of dollars to Washington than the NRA does. And the unions have sent $1 billion, I think it was, in 2014. $1.8 billion. $1.8 billion. That's what the unions have sent to lobby Congress and to get their people elected in Congress. And yet, okay, so the NRA has sent what? I don't know. Is it $7 million? I don't have the figure in front of me. But it's all
minuscule.
The NRA's fault.
It's nothing.
First of all, I have a right under the Constitution, and guess where the Constitution came from? It's a God-given right to protect myself and my children with whatever I can get my hands on. And I should have the right to have a gun. I should have the right to conceal carry. I should be able to use it unless I've committed a crime myself. If there are reasons not to have, I don't want criminals to have guns, nor do I really want the mentally ill to have guns. But you know what? Defining what. This is what the liberals do, you guys. What they do is they take a definition and then they expand it so that it covers everything. The minute you say, well, we can't have the mentally ill have guns or whatever the right is you want to control, because this is all about people control, then what the left does is that they start tinkering with the definition. And so a mental illness is now going to be, that'll include things like, depression. And what if you're on antidepressive medication? Do you know how many people are on Zoloft, by the way? I mean, there's zillions, right? Well, should they be allowed to carry a gun? I don't think so. This is how this goes. And they start taking away your rights by redefining what we're all talking about. They take a common sense thing and then they start to stretch it so that pretty soon they can drive a Mack truck through the hole that they've made. And that is what they're going to be doing in this. So all of a sudden, all you're going to hear, and they're not even blaming this young man really, because what they're saying is, well, he's mentally ill and therefore we need to stop guns from getting into the hands of
assault rifles. Assault rifles
right.
And military stuff. And actually, Susan, since Wednesday, there was actually a demonstration outside the NRA headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia. Woot, woot. I know exactly where that's at. Virginia, home state. This is the problem with the world we have right now. We live in a participation trophy, safe space having, and you will never lose in life. For goodness sakes. I have had a colleague of mine tell me about the non-competitive youth sports that he has his kid in, that they don't keep score. They don't pick a winner and loser. I mean, for goodness sakes, I want the kids safe. I want all the kids safe in the school. I want all the kids, even the ones in the wombs, safe. Where are the people out on the streets banning the tools of murder from abortion clinics? Where are they? We're banning forceps, banning those scissors which are used to cut off the heads, arms, and legs of babies in the womb. No, they're in the streets wanting to ban assault rifles and military-style rifles. I was in the Navy, and I have a dog in this fight, and many other military buds. They didn't get AR-15s. Those aren't military-style They might be military looking,
they're not.
but they're not military style vehicles. Where are these kids? I mean, a group of students are planning a, quote, march for our lives on March 24th. National walkouts against gun violence are also being organized for March 14th and April 20th. Some of the posts I saw was of course promoted from the wonderful Women's March. So this gives any crazy person who would want to copy the incident in Florida dates to plan and an opportunity to repeat. I mean, seriously.
They're not going to target the parades or something. This is what the liberals do, though. They start ginning up social campaigns and protests. It's just like workers' rights or May 1st rallies and things like that. So they go into the streets and they try to shut businesses down. But you know what? I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that we really have to touch on here about the recent Parkland shooting. It's not the first school shooting. It's not going to be the second or the third. It unfortunately, it will probably not be the last. It should be. But here's what we're teaching our children, and this is really important. You got to listen to this.
I'm listening. I'm all ears for you. Go ahead, Susie.
We are teaching our children to fear guns when we should be teaching our children how to use them. They are running to the government. They are demanding that someone else do something. They are screaming for elite lawyers and politicians to take care of them, right? They are not learning to take care of themselves. Instead, today's children are there. They practice how to duck and cover. They practice how to hide in closets and under tables, and they practice cowering in fear. Right? And the teacher's supposed to protect them. This is absolutely the wrong thing that we should be teaching our children. What we should be teaching them, back in the 1950s, guess what they had? They had rifle clubs in schools. 1950s up through the 70s. School shootings were almost non-existent. These school gun clubs were absolutely commonplace in the 70s. Schools taught gun handling and how to use them safely, and it was a skill. And everybody could be in the rifle club, and kids would carry their guns to school. In fact, they had them in the back of their car, and they would go hunting after school. And school shootings were not happening. This is when young men and women learned how to carry guns. Now, that time has passed because the liberals have invaded our schools, and now everybody's afraid of a gun when they should be afraid of bad people who use guns, and we should be enforcing laws against any type of behavior that is already on the books. We don't need any more gun laws. What we need to start
enforcing what we have.
Exactly. Pay attention to what we already have the books.
I got to disagree with you, Susan. I don't think it's liberals, because you and I can live next to a liberal. I think it's progressive, because progressives change the language. That's what they are good at.
That's what liberalism does. Unless you're using the classic definition of what liberal was, and that was 100 years ago. But liberal, progressive, yeah. They're all they are all on the continuum of going towards communism. This is all communism. This is the name of the game. Socialists fight communists. That's the only difference.
It's a step in between. Difference. That's what it is. Right. So also, there's somebody I know that wrote a book about guns. Who could that be? Why don't you tell? Because this is not only is it a perfect plug for you, but I mean, the title of your book is perfect for this. Go ahead and share it.
It's true. I wrote a book, and I wrote two books, actually. The first book I wrote was Good Guys with Guns at Home. And it's a children's book. It's designed for preschool and on up until about 8 or 9. You can be older, but it's very simple. It is whimsical. We have friendly drawings of friendly police officers and sheriff and SWAT members and people in law enforcement, because they are everyday heroes, these people, the good guys with guns. The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And so I wrote a book so that children could be introduced to these various heroes in our society, and they could see pictures, and then they could see the weapons that they use to keep us safe, because that's what heroes do. They protect us. In fact, the people who came to Parkland and rescued those students and cleared the building, they were heroes. They are everyday American heroes, and they're in law enforcement. That's what my book is about, Good Guys with Guns at Home. And then I've written a second one, which is Good Guys with Guns abroad, and that is the military. Those are the people in the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, the Border Patrol. These are people who use guns to protect us from invasion and protect our interests around the world. And they are the men and women who saved the world from Nazism. They saved the world in World War II. They are the most noble Americans ever. They volunteer to defend freedom all around the world. And yeah, they use guns. Some of the guns are big. They're called tanks. Other ones are called battleships. That's what guns do.
Stop!
Yeah,
You're scaring me. You're scaring me.
You can find my books if you want to buy them. I recommend for every kid. For every kid. We've got today's President's Day, and we've got July 4th coming up, Independence Day. It's a great gift for a kid. Yeah. And it's on Amazon.com. So you can just type in Good Guys with Guns at Home or Good Guys with Guns Abroad. And it's whimsically decorated by the man who's my illustrator. He's been in the industry as a set designer and an illustrator for his entire life. He's gotten the Lifetime Achievement Award in the industry for his illustrations and his artwork. And that's Joe Musso, and he illustrated it. And it's beautiful and it's whimsical. It's designed to be more of a throwback to the 1950s when there was a whole lot less violence in our culture concerning guns. Absolutely. So it's a go get it. Good Guys with Guns at Home, Good Guys with Guns Abroad. And teach your children about guns and to be courageous and learn to use them.
Absolutely. And I will, and I know you will, we'll send out over our social media handles. Where can they find you? Social media, and we'll send out the Amazon link for your books.
Oh, thanks. Well, you can find you find me on social media at Real Susan Swift, at Real Susan Swift. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Real Susan Swift. And how about you, AJ? Where can I find you?
At Oregon Redskin on Twitter, and our radio Twitter page is at CS Radio 503, and our Facebook is Common Sense Radio.
I like Common Sense Radio, but CNS Radio 503. We need a jingle. CNS Radio 503. CNS Radio 503. We gotta get like Jingle Girls in here and do that. We need four-part harmony because that is so hard to remember. CNS Radio 503.
Susan, 1999 Columbine High School shooting in Colorado happened. The current Colorado House Minority Leader Patrick Neville survived it. And he has, like I said, he's the minority leader in the state legislature. He has introduced legislation to remove restrictions on concealed carry in schools.
Amen. That's what'll do it. I'll tell you, gun laws cannot make kids safe, but armed school guards will. And concealed carry, and teachers in the classroom carrying, but you don't even know who they are. And
exactly.
What is that? That was a town hall article. Those are items that will not.
And we'll go over that next.
Yes, and that is a great. Who's this councilman again? Who you just did this because we need to plug him again. That Definitely. Is very brave of him.
It is, and I want everyone to take a moment, take a deep breath, and listen. Columbine High School shooting survivor, Colorado House Minority Leader Patrick Neville, who I tried to get in contact with. I desperately tried today, and I'm sure he's busy. I'm sure the media is all over.
Republican or Democrat?
He is a constitutional conservative. I did a little research. Liberty and the Constitution are the things that he cares about.
Good.
I mean, so I'm going to try and get him on in the future. Maybe we can get lucky enough to get on, but I'm sure he's busy right now. I mean, this is an article that I got from thedailywire.com that I pulled that little plug out. I mean, why is this not front page everywhere? Look, Columbine survivor, who's in the state legislature, wants to remove restrictions on concealed carry. And I know, Susan, you and I talked about, we were sending articles back and forth that many sheriffs in the Florida area and all over the nation are offering free concealed carry classes and want to remove the gun, and I'm doing my air quotes, gun-free zones in schools. I mean, there's 7 simple steps to eliminate school shootings overnight. And I'm quoting the townhall.com article, and we'll send it out. And we'll start with number 1. Susan, what do you think the number 1? Just just a guess without looking at the article, what do you think it would be?
Well, I already looked at the article. But
darn it!
For me, I know, but for me, the very first thing. It wouldn't be the first on their list, but I would say that absolutely we have armed guards in schools. But that's probably not their first thing on the list. But that's what I would do.
Number one,
I would make an announcement and say, everybody, guess what? If you're found with a gun, you're automatically expelled, and we have the right to search. We can frisk you. We can X-ray you, whatever. When you're coming in, if you're found, you're out. You're expelled. That's it.
And not only that, we're going to talk to every other school in the state and maybe country to let them know that you brought a gun to school. I think that kind of communication is paramount. Townhall.com's number one was metal detectors in every school. Well, I agree. That's not number one for me. For me, number one is their number two. Enforce the laws. Enforce everything.
Right. Everything. Yep. Enforce it. And no, just absolutely zero tolerance. They should enforce all of the laws we already have on the books. That would come down to the wall, by the way. We already have the funding on the book. We already have immigration policy law. We already have all of that on the books. The problem with our government right now is that we are not enforcing the laws we already have. That's a big, big problem. That's one of the things that would stop the shooting that had happened. If we just enforced the laws, including all of the, if somebody gives you a tip, if somebody says, look, I think this guy is mentally deranged and somebody needs to, look and investigate him, they have mandatory policies that click into place when you get a tip like that. They're supposed to follow up. But again, they were too busy, making sure that Trump's not legitimate and they need to, sabotage his election. So we're not going to go check up on some whack kid in Florida because we need to be sexting each other, Lisa Page and Stroke. We need to be talking about how we need, insurance against a Trump presidency, and we need to make sure that memo gets paid for, by the Hillary campaign, and that was the dossier.
I think I
saw. We got that dossier planned. We can't figure about school shootings. Besides, school shootings just help the liberal agenda. They want school shootings because if it bleeds, it leads. That's the headline. They actually want these things because this is a way that they can gin up these rallies, as you were talking about, and that young girl Emma, the shaved skinhead looking kid, the girl who's got she looks like an androgynous skinhead person, and she was screaming up at the microphone. This is Emma saying, we call BS if you say we can't enforce gun laws, whatever it was. If we can't get more gun law restriction, that girl, she doesn't even have any hair.
Mark my word. Mark my word.
I don't think that's it.
No. Mark my word. She will be the poster child for the next couple months on this initiative. They will bring her up at Capitol Hill, and they will let her just go at it. And number 3 on the list is perform active shooter drills. Most school districts, I work in a school district, we do yearly earthquake drills. I've never done an active shooter drill. And the ones that they've done at the school have been on weekends when no kids are in school. Yeah, when no kids. The SWAT teams practice this stuff, but they don't do it with any kids in school. So, and this is the one that really, made me really think, is number 4, reinforce doors, windows, buses, and locks.
Well, hang on. Let's go back to that perform an active shooter drill, because your point is well taken. When they practice it, it is just for the elite police forces. It's not they're not practicing with, a lot of the teachers and the kids. What they should do is they should have, if we're all taught to duck and cover in an earthquake, how about there's a special closet where the teacher has a key and you open it up and you pull out, weapons that you can defend your classroom against. If they're in middle school or high school, they could be able to have access to, I don't even know. I wouldn't like to have kids with guns in their hands, but the teacher sure could. She could pull out her AR and she could say, okay, everybody get behind me there. I'm going to stand there, and if anybody comes through that door, he's dead. How come we can't have weapons in the classroom, concealed carry, or locked up, so that the children who are in the classroom, they don't become trapped? It doesn't become a killing zone. It's like these shooters should know that pretty much every classroom has a gun in it, so that if you're going to go through the door, you may get shot.
Absolutely.
But we don't do that. We have put a big target on all of our schools' front door that says there are no guns here. You can come in here. We have guns at the Capitol. We have guns at airports. We have guns all over the United States. At any place that you want to walk into, there are armed guards, right? At banks even, right? But no, you go into a school, there is no protection for anyone there. There's not even a police officer at the front door, because he drives around, he checks on you, kind of a thing. But the only thing you have sometimes in some school is, bulletproof glass at the very front at the little, the desk where you come in. That's about it.
Most schools don't even have that. Right
course.
now, no,
and they should have every school should have a drill, and every school there should be guns on campus that the teachers and staff who are licensed to do it should go and get it, so that you don't have to wait the 4 or 6 minutes it takes for local law enforcement to arrive. So you're not just trapped in a killing zone. The shooter should be in fear of his life the minute he walks through the door, because bad things should start happening to him.
Absolutely, and he should be skeptical of anyone at that school. Oh, maybe this person has a gun. Maybe this person has a gun. And anyone that's going to have a gun, just for any of you people that are anti-Second Amendment, anti-gun, these people, these teachers, staff members, whoever are at these schools, we want them to have thorough psychological examinations. We want them to be trained by professionals. We want training, consistent training.
Yeah, just like they have to go and get their licenses renewed, and they have to have teacher training, in-service kind of training.
Yep.
They have to have in-service days, and they have to meet the state requirement. Just add that onto it and say you must train at least 2 days a year at a gun range, and you have to get relicensed every 3 years to be able to have your concealed carry permit. We want to make sure and give them, look, this will freak the unions out. Give them a bonus.
Absolutely,
teachers
I'm all for that.
Go and apply to have a concealed carry and maintain their licensing to have a concealed carry in the schools, and then they get a bonus. They get actually paid more money to be licensed teachers concealed carry. And that way, when you walk in and Miss Jones in biology, you're going into her class, she can draw down on your sorry butt when you walk through the door.
A license to kill.
Absolutely. A license to teach, license to kill. Absolutely. That's what she should have.
And the Chicken Noodle News Network, for some of you don't know what that is, CNN, had somebody on that was talking about, okay, well, what if teachers did have guns? And I had to come out of a closet with a gun, and the SWAT team had guns. Well, the SWAT team's not going to shoot you if you have your gun pointed up, because you would be trained not to point the gun at somebody. I mean, it was to me. It just blew my mind. Okay, let's get back to this list. So, number 3 was perform active shooter drills, and we discussed that. It's absolutely paramount.
For people who just joining, it's the town hall list: 7 simple steps to eliminate school shootings overnight.
Yes, and number 4 is reinforce doors, windows, buses, and locks. I don't know what the hell you would do with locks. I'm basically a building manager for a school. They have created, at all the schools in the district I work at, and I put my hat off to them, is they've created a one-way in and a one-way out, where they have buttons that you can reinforce. Is that Lisa Page calling you?
I don't even know why this is happening.
Oh, hey, we're all normal, everyday people. Anyways, they have a one-way buttons for lock in, lock out, and an emergency in the office where it closes all the doors and locks everything. I mean, it's incredible. It has specially made windows to help where people can't break in. They've even thought this so deeply through that the doors used to have 2 handles on them, but they have studied these mass casualty, these horrific incidents where they've taken one door handle off of the door next to it, just so no one can take chain and wrap around the doors and lock people in. I mean, this guy, this terrorist in Florida was not a dummy. He thought this through. I mean, he pulled the fire drill or pulled the fire alarm and started. I mean, what a freaking... he's a sick individual. He's a terrorist. In my opinion,
and evil.
Yeah, he created terrorists.
Killing zone. He created a killing zone for his own purposes, and it's just sick.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with number 4. Reinforced doors, windows, and the bus windows. But the locks, I'm not sure what you would do with the locks. But anyways,
Because size does matter. Bigger locks, okay?
Yeah, no,
it's
locks.
kind of like Trump's button, okay? Trump's nuclear
gosh.
button. I got a bigger button, okay? We just need better locks, because some, the little kind of doors that are in your house, it's a turn knob. You want a padlock. You want some,
Well, they have
serious
specialized
lock.
locks. I've worked with a locksmith on different things, but no more Trump. No more Trump. Number five on the 7 simple steps to eliminate school shootings overnight. Recruit retired military and law enforcement. And I love that one.
Ooh, I love that one. That is my favorite.
It is.
That's what'll explode the union heads, though. That they can't stand that, because they don't want retired military and law enforcement in the schools. It's a union busting kind of a problem. Although the police unions would probably be down for it, because then the police union can come in. It's more money. But the unions probably would flip out having, retired military in a school. And then you're going to have the people who say, well, the retirement PTSD, we don't want those military types, those conservative military PTSD. They might break at any minute. They might start thinking they're back on the front lines. They might start shooting kids. So that'll freak them out. But absolutely, we should have them.
The unions are going to say, well, we can't pay for it. And I have a solution to pay for an armed guard at every school in the district. Eliminate.
Now your line's going off.
It was my watch. First I'll go. Eliminate foreign aid.
I got even a better one. Let the Democrats choke on this one.
Okay.
Divert all of the DACA funds into paying for police and military at every school. Just take all the DACA funds for that. Let the Democrats choke on that one.
Ooh. Okay, so I can do. How about both? How about we do both?
Yeah, both. Absolutely.
I like both.
Absolutely.
Number 6, arm all appropriate personnel. We talked about that already.
Yeah,
and we tied that in with the shooter.
The lunch lady. The lunch lady can have a gun if she goes through it. The one who says, no, I'm sorry, you can't have 2 Twinkies. The lunch lady, she can have a gun. She can have a gun. She goes through and she's, fingerprinted and all that stuff. She could have a gun. She can be right there and draw down on the guy who comes into the cafeteria. Absolutely.
You heard about that football coach that got in front, was trying to get, I think, what is his name? I think it was Aaron. Anyway, he died because he was...
Oh, that was the man, yeah.
Yes, he was trying to block and protect as many students. He's a hero. That was the man I was referring to. I didn't know his name. Yes. Eric. He shielded. No, Aaron. I think Aaron Fives. If he would have had a pistol or a shot, if he would have had something, he would have stopped this like that.
Right.
And
that's why we need to have gun lockers in the schools under the desks or whatever. And with it, you can put a trigger guard in there so that it conforms to your hand, so that you can, a fingerprint lockbox type of a thing, so you can get your guns out. And that way, if you're in a classroom, if you're in a hall, somebody who knows where the guns are, they can go and get them. And that way, they're not just vulnerable and sitting there. They can turn around and they can shoot back. And that's what we should be doing. This March for Our Lives. That I'll call BS on that. Barry Soetoro BS. It's not March for Our Lives. It's Shoot for Our Lives. You shoot bad guys. That's what you do. You don't go marching. That's political BS. That's
Susan, we have a March for Life every year. I think they got it mixed up. Anyways, let's finish this townhall.com article. Number 7, politicized consequence.
Publicize, yes.
Publicize. Oh. I said politicize.
Politicize, that's what the liberals do. No. Publicize, absolutely. Yes. Publicize the consequences. Let people know that this is what's out there. You're going to have to get through locks. You have to get through the reinforced glass. And guess what? 10% of our teachers or 18% of our teachers are licensed trained killers. And we've got guns all over the school. And we've also told the kids that they could bite your leg like a dog if they got hold of you. You get close to one of the kids, they should take you out. We should be seriously teaching our kids that if they see something like they won't have a gun. But you know what? There were really brave people on the 9/11 flights who took those flights, the one that was aimed at the Pentagon, took it down. All right. And that's because they were brave. They said, I'm going to challenge this guy with a box cutter. That's what we should be telling our kids to do is, you know what? I know you're small and maybe you don't have a gun, but you can do something. You can shove a chair in front of this guy. You can tackle him around the knees. You should be brave. Just like these little kids in World War II. They're people who they braved the Nazis. They did everything, and some of them lost their lives. We should, instead of teaching our children to cower in fear, we should tell them that, yes, there are things you can do. You don't need a gun, but you can do a lot of things. You can help get people safe, and you can actually, if you see a bad guy, you can tell on them. You can throw a chair at them. There are lots of things that you can do to save people.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we got one person that is going to take the next year off to fix the democracy. Jennifer Lawrence from the Hunger Games. She said she is going to take the next year off to help fix the democracy.
Well, then she's an idiot because we're a republic, not a democracy.
I know.
So she doesn't know anything. So God help us there. But she's going to fix the democracy. What is she going to do? Wear her flaming dress? Really? I mean, what's the plan? It's like all of these actresses who think that people like to watch them for their political view. No, they don't. It's like what Laura Ingraham told LeBron James, which is shut up and dribble. How about all these actresses? Just shut up and read your lines. Shut up and read your lines.
And I disagree with Laura Ingraham. You know what? Here, she has a right to say it. LeBron has a right to say it, but who in their right mind is going to LeBron James to get political advice? I'm not. Maybe the boys that because LeBron.
He influences a lot of people.
He does, and he does do a lot of good in the community. I read something, fine. But listen to me. Hear me out. We have to support his First Amendment right. He is entitled to talk about orangutans. He's entitled to talk about that. For one, everyone that I know is not going to him. Did you hear LeBron's podcast on the First Amendment?
I will support anybody's right, the constitutional right to make an ass out of yourself 5 minutes a day. That's your First Amendment right. You can do it. And he did. He exercised his right to be an ass. But you know what? He doesn't know anything about politics. He knows plenty. If he wants to start giving advice about basketball and sports, I'm all ears. I'll listen to the man.
And that's what I'm saying.
He doesn't have any authority to be speaking on and to be pontificating about gun rights or anything else. So just shut up and dribble. Do your job. Your job is to entertain us.
I know.
Just like these actresses, your job is to entertain us. You're an entertainer. Read your lines. Get your makeup on and fix your bustier and get in front of the camera and do a pouty lip thing and read your lines. That's your job. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you in your little flaming dress talking about my guns and my Constitution. Go read your lines.
We'll agree to disagree because I get what you're saying.
I'm sorry. I'm really tired. Meryl Streep went into. Remember, she went to Congress years and years ago because she wanted to give testimony about the LR scare. This was with apples and LR and the chemicals that they were spraying on our apples. She didn't know any of this. She's not a scientist, and she hadn't done the research. She just went up there, and because she's very good at passionate delivery, she hadn't educated herself, but she went up there and she's talking about the dangers of LR. I'm sorry. Just read your lines. Look, you're a fabulous actress. Just stay on the silver screen for me, please. That's your job. Go do it.
Well, Jennifer Lawrence is holding a sign that reads, "A woman's place is in the revolution." And what we're talking about right now is Jennifer Lawrence plans to take the next year off from acting to help fix the democracy. But Susan did point out we are a republic, not a democracy, and
Most people don't even know the difference anymore because they don't teach that in the schools, which is where all of this sad stuff is happening. They don't have gun clubs anymore. They don't teach history. They call it social studies. Sounds like social justice. And that's what they've been doing for 3 generations. They're not teaching children about the Constitution or a republic. They're not. They don't even teach. In schools, they don't even teach kids how to write cursive anymore. Do you know why?
Because, it's too hard.
Well, no, it's because it's too hard to teach them, I guess. But look, if you were a man of letters, it meant that you could read and write in cursive, and it was all flourishing, and that showed that you were an educated person. What are the most important documents in the Magna Carta, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights? They're all written in cursive.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just thinking.
If you can't read it, you can't write it, you don't even know the Emancipation Proclamation. You can't read these things if you can't read cursive. And we are dumbing down a generation. We are crippling them from even being able to read the documents that proclaim their very freedom because it's too hard. We're just going to do printing like first graders. The rest we should be teaching them. They don't even teach cursive, much less gun rights and the Constitution. They don't teach any of this. They're dumbing kids down. They're teaching kids to duck and cover and to run to the lunch lady for food and get free food and then to go cry to the government and have street protests. March for our lives.
Yeah, it's the decay of our culture.
They are teaching social activism when they should be teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what they should be teaching. They are undermining our culture. They are undermining our conservative values in our children. They're vampirizing them in schools, and then they turn them over to the higher education, the colleges, where they really suck your brains out of your head. Talk about a brain abortion. That's what they do in colleges. They suck all of the rest of your values out, and then they crank out little mind-numbed robots out of college who spout liberal platitudes about changing the world. And I want to fix our democracy. That's what they're doing. They are corrupting our youth in school. These are indoctrination camps run by liberal educators. That's what public education is. And
they put you in debt for the rest of your life. They Absolutely. Are the slave owners almost.
They shackle you with debt. Education is the master, and you owe 40 years of your life to a grand education scheme. And you pay it, and then you delay marriage, and then you delay having children, and that's called population control. That's what that is. That's what the debt is. That's better than the pill. Just shackle everybody with debt, and nobody wants to have babies in the first place.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed Susan and I's perspective. We're trying to, I know myself, I've told Susan and she agrees. We want to go more in the culture because that's what's shaping America. That's what's shaping the world. So we hope you enjoyed that because, Susan, I know we skipped over the most important news of the week.
And what was it? That's right. Oh my gosh.
I know. You see, you are skipping over the hotline in California that is dedicated to invasive 20-pound rodents. I mean,
yep.
You're skipping over the main thing, and this is in your own backyard. I mean,
literally, we have a rat in our house. We do. His name is Colonel. I will tell you, his name is Colonel. My cat had killed Mama Rat and all the little ratling babies outside, and there was one little baby rat. This was a newborn, tiny little ratling, tiny baby. And of course, my daughter, but it's a poor little rat baby. So she brought it in the house. Nursed it back to health. Literally was pouring you can go buy this cat milk or something at the Petco to nurse little baby kitties.
Oh God.
So she would get some of that and put it into a little bottle cap so that this little baby ratling could kind of drink little bit of milk, and she made a kind of little nest for it in the bathtub and fed it grapes and because she wanted to grow it, she wanted to get it big and healthy. I mean, she's so tender because she didn't want to kill it. What are we going to do? Just it wasn't dead. All the brothers and sisters and Mama Rat was dead. So she wanted to get it all healthy and then go release it back into the wild. Go take it to a park or something so it could have a rat life, right? The problem was that the other sister decided one night, we told, look, because she'd rigged, my daughter had rigged a neat kind of a box in a way to keep the rat in there, and she told everybody, please don't handle him, don't touch him. But of course, one of the younger daughters decided, well, she wanted to get him out and pet him. And so she was petting and playing with the rat while, we were out on a date. And we came back to the house, and of course, she hastily put the rat back and kind of tried to fix the box and everything. Well, of course, the rat got out because the box was not fixed securely. So the rat got out of my house, and he's now a nice, big, fat, grown-up adult rat, and he's running around in my house, and we're setting out traps, and we're setting out poison, we're doing everything we can. Now we're going to have to kill this rat. That's what's in my house. But it's nothing compared to what California has. And California has a 20-pound... This thing looks like a beaver. This thing is... I mean, they're called, at least in Louisiana... Nutrias, that's what they called them, at least. I know it's spelled nutria. My son went with his friend in Louisiana. They went nutria shooting. They would take guns and they'd shoot these big old... These are... You could turn these into coats for little children, I think. They are monster big.
So before we get... Before we get too far down the line into this, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife has set up a hotline so citizens can help track these animals. The more information the department has about how many of these rodents reside in what parts of the state, the better they can prepare for a possible infestation. And these rodents are more than a meter are more than 3.5 foot long when you include their tails and weigh up to 20 pounds.
They are monsters. Now, you know what? Why are they? You know what? I'll tell you how you get rid of an infestation. Instead of saying, we need a hotline to set for citizens to help track the animals and please report any activity. How about this? You just put a bonus on. You say, anybody who brings me a nutria pelt, I give you $5. And you allow them to shoot them. Get out your guns and go nutria shooting. And for every pelt, you take it to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. They should give you $5. That'll take care of the infestation inside of 2 weeks.
Wow. I'm just reading on this. One of the 20 rodents recently spotted in California was a healthy, pregnant female, according to the CDFW. Nutrias breed early and breed often. A female can have 3 litters in as little as 13 months. And what we're talking about is over at Futurism.com. We'll send it over. Is California has set up a hotline for invasive 20-pound rodents. And Susan has been skipping over this news all hour. You know, it's in her backyard, and she's just, you know.
It's in my house, actually. I don't know if I don't know if he's a 20-pound nutria. He better not be, because we can't. He's currently, as far as we can figure, he's hiding under our dishwasher. He's scooched under there. But yes, you're right. I did neglect to go to the biggest news story of the week, which is the 20-pound rodents in California. No, they're not politicians. They're actual rodents of unusual size. That's what they are. They're real. They look like beavers. You should see this picture on Futurism.com. They are nasty big old critters, and they're just monster big. They got big old orange teeth, and they look mean, and I wish I could shoot one. That would be so much fun. I could get out my AR and go nutria shooting. That would be fun.
Whoa, are you allowed to have ARs in California?
I don't know. It's a dream.
I remember when my wife was in college, about 25 to 30 feet away from her dorms was the first time I ever saw one in my entire life. And she tried telling me,
an AR or a Nutra?
A Nutra.
Okay.
Nutria, however the hell you say it.
In Louisiana, it's a Nutra. That's all I know. But anyway, a Nutria. Okay. Sounds like nutrition.
I wonder if Nutella would be good on them.
Ew. They're nasty critters. I mean, yuck. But they could, you know what? I know what we could do. Oh, this is mean of me.
Whoa, listen to this.
I should say this.
After a year, a single reproductive female could be responsible for the birth of more than 200 offsprings.
I think nutria mamas need birth control.
Ooh.
And you know what? The best kind of birth control is a bullet. For rats.
I mean, what are these
rat
people?
Birth control is a bullet. That's what that is.
What are these people thinking of? I've never, ever in my life thought about setting up I mean, it must be pretty bad. Is the rodent problem down in California that bad?
I don't know, but I think it's ridiculous to set up a hotline trying to track them. Like I said, they ought to have a system where, you know, we just put out a bounty. Start bringing in Nutra pellets. You know, just bring them in, just like beaver pelts. Just bring them in. Just start killing them. We don't need to track them and study them. Just start killing them. They're rats. For goodness sakes.
Do we want to put the over-under that the California State Legislature grants them permanent residency? I mean, what do we want to put?
Don't go there. No, now, I'm not serious. Now, look, no, that's not okay. No. Do not make that analogy. Not even funny. Don't even go there. Not okay. These are rodent critter things that need killing. They are not people, and I'm not. And I would never say that we need to shoot illegal immigrants.
No. I know that, but I'm just saying.
Go there. That's not okay. The only people you shoot are invaders in a war. If you're going to go what you have is you have a very controlled border. You declare war and you say very, very, you know, you are now combatants. And if I know that you're on the other side, I will shoot you. But you don't shoot mothers and children and people who are trying to come over the border. You just repel them. You can't. You just can't. So let's not make the analogy of rats to human beings. That's just not cool. Not cool. No.
Just joking, Susan. Just joking.
I'm too serious, I guess. Okay.
Well, did you hear the other news of the week? Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is running for the Senate seat that's being vacated from Orrin Hatch. I mean, that's kind of old, but I mean,
well, Orrin, that'll be a slight upgrade from Orrin Hatch. I mean, we certainly can't. Let's not go more liberal, can we? I mean, we don't want to replace Orrin Hatch with some sort of Democrat. So, I guess Mitt Romney, he's got name recognition. He's a Mormon. He's a good man. That'll be fine. I mean, we could do a lot worse. What's the problem with him? Tell me.
I'm not a big fan of Romney. I mean, you say a good man. The thing with Mitt Romney is he's an open borders. I mean, he is for illegal amnesty.
Well, that's not good.
He is. He is the architect of Obamacare. Look at Massachusetts with.
Well, I know Massachusetts. I know.
I completely do not want him to run.
I would run. I mean, look,
I would like to. Well, he's going to. There's no one else is going to run against him. I mean, they would be stupid to because he's going to win that in a landslide because of his name recognition.
Well, I don't know. Who are the Democrats going to pop up?
Oh no, they don't.
Are they going to challenge that state? Look, we've got George Soros buying elections all over the country right now. If George Soros wants to flood Utah with $1 gazillion, maybe he can deny Mitt Romney his place. But yeah, I don't like some of the things that you told me that Mitt stands for. If he's for open borders, that just means that he doesn't support laws. I'm sorry. Either we have laws or we don't in this country.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier. Enforce them.
Exactly. Either enforce the laws or get rid of them. If you're going to have gun laws, enforce them. If you're not going to enforce them, then just get rid of them. If we're going to have a border, then enforce the law. If we're not, let's just get rid of the border and get it over with and just say, we are one people of the world. Okay, fine. Let's just join the UN and let's just get the pretense over with. And then, we can all, sing Kumbaya together. Either we are a country with borders and laws or we're not. And there's a program for you to come into this country legally. There's different ways to come in here legally, and a work permit or just by application. There's different things. So I can't respect. It's like this is like McCain. He's the same problem. I mean, the same problem. We have the GOP who they've linked race with immigration as though they're buying into the Democrat lies. When most people want a steady, secure border, including many Hispanics who've come here. They want borders. They came. They stood in line. They've been obeying the law. They want the border secured as well.
Yeah, no, I have many friends from Guatemala who have come here the legal way, and they say it burns their blood that people are breaking the law to come here because they spend a lot of money. They have worked hard to be a benefit to society. I mean, and that's why I can't support someone like Mitt Romney. I cannot, and I just won't, because to me he's the same skin as John McCain. I mean,
well, I'll tell you that, but I'll tell you something else. And this is something my dad always told me, and I agree with everything you said. I agree. However, it is still better to have a rhino than a Democrat. It is better to have a rhino. I'll tell you why. We absolutely must retain control of the Senate, because at the end of the day, when Trump nominates judges for the Supreme Court and for the federal bench, we have to have the senators there to support and vote those guys in. That is the only way we're going to turn this around, is by replacing the damage that has been done by Obama and the liberals. They have flooded our courts with very liberal-leaning activist judges who, at the end of the day, they are legislating from the bench. And the only way that we can counter that is by replacing these judges with constitutional conservatives. And if we don't have the Senate, we will not be able to get these confirmations done. So at the end of the day, it's an ugly business, and I don't like it any better than you do, but it is way better for us to have even rhinos in the Senate. I don't want them. I would rather have constitutional conservatives with guts and a spine. But as between Nancy Pelosi or John McCain, I mean, or pick, I guess it would be Schumer. As between Chuck Schumer and Mitt Romney, I'll take Mitt Romney every day, including Sundays.
And I understand where you're coming from, Susan. We're almost out of time, but I want to end on this point. I cannot compromise on my principles on that. I understand. And for me, I looked for Constitutional Party. I looked for any way that I could write in, because I support some of Trump's policies, but I couldn't compromise.
Okay, well then I'll tell you what. All it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. There is not a perfect thing. There's usually not a candidate that is clean and pure as the driven snow that agrees with you all the way 100%. So what you have to do is
I understand that.
What you have to do is be a little bit like Reagan, which is you go and you get what you can. You get 80% and you come back later for the other 20%. It's an ugly, ugly thing. But if we are all going to be standing on our one principle and not voting, we will all end up being in the People's Republic of the United States. It's going to be a socialist country, because that's how Democrats divide us. They divide us on the issues, and then we end up not voting, and we end up losing control of our government to these darn socialists.
No, I get it. Hey, I appreciate your perspective, Susan. I really, truly do.
I love you.
You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.